Taking a look at the Strymon Volante today, let's just do a quick overview of the controls. One of the main things on this is the type switch. There's three types of machines modeled in here. I'm not saying they're modeling after anything in particular. I'm not sure how deeply they took it to try to sound like the originals, but they're going for the vibe is what we could say for sure. So the drum mode is like a Echo Rec style unit, okay? Tape is an outboard tape effects, think like a Space Echo or an Echoplex. And the third one, Studio, is a studio quality tape machine that's been set up to be used as a delay, okay? So should be a much higher quality. And we have a record level here. Below that, there's a low cut. On the top next to that is a mechanics, and below that is a wear. The mechanics will introduce some pitch wobble, and the wear it rolls off some high end, mimicking the way that, say when a tape gets old and is used a lot, that it doesn't reproduce the frequencies as well. I mean, it degrades every time you record over it. Then right in the middle on top, there's a time switch. Below that, there's controls for the playback and feedback heads. Okay, we'll get into that a little bit at the end and just show you what you can do with those. Next to that, there's a time switch. So there's double, normal, and half. So you can quickly change and get a double or half speed echo just by flipping that switch and then switch it back. You don't have to mess your time knob and try to get it back to where it was. Then there's a repeats. That is the feedback feature or control. Underneath that is spacing. That works for when you have multiple heads on. You can change the spacing between the heads. Then there's an echo level next to that, and below that is a spring. So let's take a quick listen to the spring reverb on the drums first, and then we'll get into the echoes, just so you can hear what the spring sounds like is all just by itself. Okay, that's the way that sounds. You got to drive it pretty hard. It's not super boingy or springy, but it is a nice sounding reverb regardless. So we're going to start listening to the drum mode. Let's go with that.
You like that?
So that is the drum mode. It's pretty dark sounding. Using the low cut definitely helps out to clean it up. And it has a real nice sound to it. I really like it. I guess, the original units had lots and lots of tubes in them, so they modeled a lot of that. They had tubes on every different stage going through this unit, so that has a lot to do with the sound of it. Let's move on to the tape mode and see how that sounds. Again, this is like an outboard tape effects, like a space echo or an echoplex style, okay?
Melodies by Let me marry my girl, real good. To the left, rock, 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 rock. Let me marry.
There's a tape mode. Again, it's a great sounding unit. And I didn't mention this little button here. If you press it and hold it down, it just brings the feedback into self-oscillating. So it just increases the level of this feedback on every repeat, and it just builds up and gets louder and louder, okay? It's a great effect, or a great feature to have built into the unit where you can just press a button and get that happening. Let's move on to the studio mode.
Yeah.
That is the studio mode. And you could hear there, I turned up the reverb towards the end. It's nice to have, it comes in nice. I like to always have a little reverb on an echo, and it sounds great. You can set it to a little bit of a low level, and if you do start feeding back that thing into self-oscillating, then it does build up. It adds to the sound. It just I find it helps make the echoes fit into the song a little better to have a slight bit of reverb on them. I put on more than what I'd normally use there just so you could hear it good. So let's take a quick look at using the different heads with the spacing control and the different feedbacks that we could have depending on which head we have feeding back. Let's go. So you can do all kinds of stuff with that. And that's it. That's the Strymon Volante. Generally, I just use the single head and adjust the high pass, or if I'm feeding it back through my mixer, I will just use the EQ on there. You do get the sound is a little different feeding back through the mixer, not going directly through the feedback built into the unit itself. So it varies a little bit, which you can hear in some of my other videos if you check them out. But that's the basic sound. It's nice analog style unit for sure. Lots of flexibility. And on that studio mode, you can be really clean. And on the other modes, you can get much more dirty. So if you're looking for a unit, it's worth checking into for sure. Thanks for checking out the video. Stay blessed.